Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us during this session. We're going to be speaking about the Picture Hillsboro opportunity and a brand new exciting opportunity called the Permanent Collection Award tonight. My name is Karl LeClair. I'm the Public Art Supervisor for City of Hillsboro. Joining me is LeAnn, my colleague in the Public Art Program. You'll find our contact information out there for any questions you might have about the application process, and you'll be working with us if you're selected as one of the finalists for the show. So this, I think, maybe the first time we've recorded a workshop session for Picture Hillsboro, but really we're going to highlight this new opportunity, the Permanent Collection Award. So we can let you know how to shape your application and how to position yourself to be considered for both opportunities. Unfortunately, no one's joining us tonight, but hopefully you'll find this session helpful as you look at the application materials. So I'm going to quickly go through a little bit of background on each opportunity, and then primarily we'll work through just all the information that's in the call to artists and speak about the best ways to prepare your application materials. And then maybe we'll try to come up with a couple questions that will help guide you through the process. So I'll start quickly. Most of you probably are familiar with the Picture Hillsboro Award opportunity, which has been an opportunity for metro area artists since 2012. That project began as a collaboration between the Public Art Program in the mayor's office at the time, and now the city manager's office, to acquire both original artworks and reproduction rights of those original artworks to create gifts that that city leadership here in Hillsboro can provide as they travel throughout the world on official city business, and then also provide gifts to visiting dignitaries from around the world. So a couple of examples of how these gifts are given is the city leadership traveled to Japan over the summer to meet with our sister city in Fukuoka, Japan, but also to meet with business leaders, mostly in the tech industry. And so they provide these gifts as an extension of the creative vitality and warmth of the community here in Hillsboro. And so Picture Hillsboro has historically served to promote life in Hillsboro. So the works that have been acquired have all adhered to representing people, the places of Hillsboro, cultural events, celebrations, the built environment. So all to do with depicting Hillsboro. And it's been open to regional artists because we know that artists come to Hillsboro and visit and are inspired by their visits here, maybe to downtown, to the surrounding areas. And so we're really interested in Picture Hillsboro continuing to serve that purpose and continuing to celebrate life here. And that opportunity will remain open for a broader swath of artists living in and around the area of Hillsboro and the Portland metro area. The Permanent Collection Award, we've come to grow the public art collection. So the works from Picture Hillsboro, once they're reproduced as prints for gift-giving purposes, we include those artworks in the public art collection. And those interior collections in the portable works collection are rotated throughout city-owned facilities and put on display in publicly accessible areas. And so it's, again, another way of us reinforcing the city's support and investment in the arts community. And it's become evident that the Picture Hillsboro opportunity is serving particular types of art-making practices, but maybe leaving out, especially artists more locally to Hillsboro who may have a really intensive art-making practice, but maybe aren't working representationally or aren't looking specifically at the criteria for Picture Hillsboro in their art-making practice. So the Permanent Collection Award is really intended to specifically support Hillsboro-based artists and to allow us to collect artworks that will represent the diversity of artists and art-making practices that are represented here in Hillsboro. And so the parameters for this new award is Hillsboro-based artists, and we're really looking to diversify our collection. And so we encourage all Hillsboro-based artists to apply with what they're making. Both opportunities, so the application is open for both opportunities. We encourage artists to apply with your portfolio of works, and we will go through the process of determining eligibility based on your location and also the content of your work. So we'll prepare your application to present to both the Picture Hillsboro Review Committee and the Permanent Collection Review Committee. And so those committees will come together once the application period closes to review each of the applications. The Picture Hillsboro Committee will review works and make recommendations for finalist artists to be included in an exhibit at the Civic Center. And that committee will be more focused on representatives from city departments and city manager's office, as they're going to make a decision on what's going to best represent Hillsboro for gift giving. They have to pay particular mind to how different cultures where they visit will receive the artwork, and considerations around the representation of specific imagery and symbols. So they'll make a decision based on those criteria. The Permanent Collection Award, we're going to bring in a community-based committee to review the applications and again select a group of finalists who will be invited to display their works alongside the Picture Hillsboro finalists. During the exhibit, which will run January through February of 2024, the committees will come together in person in the gallery space and make a final selection for each award. The committees really prefer to see the works in person and get a sense of how the works actually look in space. And so these are two great opportunities. Picture Hillsboro Award is $1,000 for the acquisition of the original artwork along with the reproduction rights. And then the Permanent Collection Award, we have up to $1,000 as well to acquire one or maybe multiple works. And we'll allow the committee to guide us in that decision-making process, whether they want to acquire maybe a couple of works or just a single work. So if you're applying for the Permanent Collection Award, please price your artwork as you see fit, knowing that we have a capped amount of $1,000. If your work happens to fall under the $1,000, it could be considered as a multiple acquisition in the process. LeAnn, anything you feel like missing out on there?
No, I think the biggest thing that I want to emphasize, as we've already had questions about this, is the difference in eligibility criteria. So the Picture Hillsboro Award is available to all Portland Metro artists, but the Permanent Collection criteria, you do need to be a resident of Hillsboro to qualify for that one. And then as far as the art style, the Picture Hillsboro, the images need to be of people, places, or events that are within Hillsboro. And then the Permanent Collection can be just about anything.
Just about anything. Keeping in mind that this is a collection that we are acquiring to serve the Hillsboro community. So, consider that we're looking for artwork that can be consumed by a broad cross-section of the entire community. Hillsboro is one of the most diverse cities in the state. And so please consider, as you're thinking about which artworks to submit, whether it may be appropriate or not to be on display in the Civic Center. And another change this year, we are in the process of transitioning the gallery space within the Civic Center. Currently, the exhibit space is on the exterior wall of the Shirley Huffman Auditorium, just as you enter on the first floor of the Civic Center. And it's a small space. It's kind of tucked away off to the side, doesn't currently receive a lot of foot traffic. And so we're in the process of transitioning the gallery space to the hallway between the main atrium just outside the auditorium and Municipal Court, which is on the west side of the facility. And this space will receive a lot more foot traffic and provide us with a bit of a larger footprint to host group shows moving forward and to accommodate these two exhibits happening concurrently. And so this exhibit for the 2024 Picture Hillsboro Permanent Collection Award will be the first exhibit in that new space We're excited to be able to expand there and have a little bit more visibility for the exhibits there. So more details on the finalist process will come if you're selected for that round in terms of how to prepare your work, drop off, pick up, dates of the exhibit, and all those details. So more to come on that front. I'm going to pull up the call to artists so we can just walk through all of the requirements and give you some feedback on how to best prepare your application materials. All right. Is that looking all right, LeAnn?
Yep.
Okay. So I've just opened the link to the Cognito forum, which is available. You likely have the link as you're viewing this video on our Artist Opportunities page. But if you haven't gotten there for some reason, you can search Artist Opportunities, City of Hillsboro. It should take you right to the page. Click the little blue box with the Picture Hillsboro Permanent Collection Award, and that will lead you to all the information you need to apply. So the Cognito form hopefully is very straightforward and easy to fill out. It will require all of the information before you're able to submit it. So that means you won't be able to leave off any details and therefore not be able to be not considered for the opportunity. Up here at the top, we have a couple representative images of the two opportunities. November Gold by Chuck St. John, who's a Beaverton artist, was selected for the 2023 Picture Hillsboro Award last year. This is a pastel work featuring a scene from Jackson Bottom Wetlands. But then on the right here, we have an image, Singularity by Barbara Mason. Barbara's a Hillsboro-based printmaker. And as you can see, this is an abstract intaglio print. So we're definitely interested in expanding kind of in both of these directions through these opportunities. And as you see, we have the description of the opportunities in English here on the left, and then on the right in Spanish. So the application deadline, we'll probably mention that a couple times throughout the session. November 13th, 9 a.m. Pacific time. We shifted to 9 a.m. time to allow those of you who may be working down to the last minute to get your application in, to review everything in the morning if you're working through the night. And that will deliver the applications to us just in time to start reviewing them. As I mentioned, we have $1,000 budget for Picture Hillsboro, and that's a set amount. So regardless of the price of your work, we're offering a $1,000 award for the acquisition and reproduction rights. And then again, the Permanent Collection Award, $1,000 will be to acquire a work or multiple works just within that total budget amount. Eligibility, again, Picture Hillsboro, Portland Metro area, and then Permanent Collection, Hillsboro-based artists only. The project description is essentially the information that I just shared, but please scan through that. It's always good to read all of the information in the call, just so you're familiar with all of the details. And we've included a little timeline here, set some expectations for what to expect with notifications, the final selection process, and then the exhibit dates. Again, I'll just mention that November 13th deadline. We anticipate convening the two committees before December 8th. And so we should have information about finalist notifications and artwork drop-off details before the Christmas holiday. We do have a set deadline for the finalist artwork drop-off on January 8th. And this is to allow us to receive all of the works on January 8th and install the exhibit by the end of that week. The exhibit will then be on display through the end of February. And sometime in there, we'll convene the committees in person in the exhibit space to select the two finalist winners. A little bit of the background that was also covered in what I had to share earlier. Again, feel free to read this information as well. Selection criteria. So I'll just kind of reiterate some of this selection criteria as we had already discussed. Picture Hillsboro Award. Really, this is strictly two-dimensional work. in order for it to be reproduced effectively. So the prints that are created are a photo reproduction process. So it's either going to be scanned or photographed. And so two-dimensional work is going to be best fit for that. It can typically be in any media, but think about especially the dimensionality of the work can be really hard if it has a sort of a relief type surface. It could be difficult to reproduce, and therefore the committee may be hesitant in selecting a work that won't be successful in the reproduction process. Permanent Collection Award. This can be in any media, and these works will just be directly accessioned into the public art collection and then put on display. So much sort of more a broader eligibility in terms of type of work and in materials used. We do have, I did include a little asterisk here that we're looking for original artwork and artwork that you as the artist applying owns the full rights to. So anything that has potential copyright implications that the artist doesn't own, or artwork that is a reproduction already will not be considered. So we're looking for unique, one-of-a-kind original artworks for both opportunities. The selection criteria for each of the opportunities are here. Picture Hillsboro Award. Of course, we're looking for unique, original works of art. Picture Hillsboro in particular, celebrating aspects of life in Hillsboro, ability to be reproduced, and ability to transfer ownership. Permanent Collection Award. Really, we're looking to support Hillsboro artists for this one and ensure that it's appropriate to include within our collection. And if you are looking to better understand the context of our collection, if you search Public Art Hillsboro, go to our Public Art website, you can access our online collection of works. And that might help if you have questions about the type of work you're making, whether or not it might be appropriate to include within the collection. You can get a sense of the types of works that we already exhibit and display as part of the collection. And either go that route, or you can stop by the Civic Center, or we just recently hung some works in the Hidden Creek Community Center. So I encourage you to get out and actually see some of the works in person too, to get a sense of the materiality, how they're presented, different types of content that are represented. The submission instructions here, we're essentially asking you to fill out your contact information. Each of the sections that are required have a little red asterisk, and you can't submit the application without completing those sections. So no risk of missing any details. For the images, we're asking you to submit 5 images of your existing available to purchase artworks. So these aren't examples. Some of our calls, we request examples of artworks, knowing that you're going to present a new work or maybe develop new works for an exhibit, but these need to be works that are already completed, that will be ready to be dropped off on January 8th if you're selected as a finalist. And you have up to 5 options to submit. And I always encourage artists that if you don't have 5 good options, don't fill in the other image options with works that are less than what you want to present. So if you only have 2 really good artworks that you want to be considered, only submit those 2 artworks. That'll present much better to the committees that you have 2 strong works and you understand the goals and the purpose of the call. A lot of times committee members will become confused if they see inconsistency in the images you submit, or or sort of big differences in quality of the work. If you are an artist who works in maybe different media, and you have say 2 oil paintings and 3 prints that you want to submit, I think that's perfectly fine. You have an opportunity to submit some additional comments here on each artwork. And so if you choose to kind of split your image submissions based on your art making practice, then please describe how your practice works and how these works are representative of each sort of art making modality. So you can say that these 2 oil paintings were from a series or a body of work that was created for an exhibit in 2022. And the prints are part of a separate body of work that you're currently working on, or whatever that might be. But think about how you're best presenting yourself and your practice through your image submissions, and make sure that the works are still in good shape. If you're looking back a couple of years to some older works, double check and make sure those works are still in good presentable condition for the finalist exhibit. I'll also say that that within those 5 options, you can also think about the 2 different opportunities that are presented here. If you have 2 artworks that you really feel are a good option for the Picture Hillsboro exhibit, and then 3 artworks that you think are a better fit for the permanent collection, again, go to that additional comment section and note that. If you feel really specifically that you want the works considered through that specific lens, then let us know. That will help us in preparing for the committee and in effectively communicating the details of your artwork to the committee. And so the required information here for the artworks: title, materials, dimensions, year completed, and sale price. But we didn't make the additional comments section required, but I always encourage artists to fill this section out, because when we meet with committees, the only information that we have to review and guide that committee review process is what you submitted in the application. And any opportunity that you have to bring your voice into that room with the committee members is extremely important to take advantage of, because it helps the committee better understand you and your perspective and how to contextualize your work. And oftentimes that can help clarify any questions or concerns they have, and help them come to a more clear decision. And so each of the sections here has the same options. I forgot to mention that you can either upload or just drag your image files here. JPEGs are best. In preparing images of your work, for this one, we typically encourage artists just to crop the image in right into the parameters of the artwork, or right into the image area. For this one, it might be appropriate, if your artwork is already framed, to give us an image that includes the framing. I know glazing on frames can be very difficult to photograph, but if you can include the frame, that might help. If not, then that will be part of the consideration of how the work is presented in that final decision-making process when the committees view your work in the exhibit space. So if you can include that detail, if the image doesn't read well as you're trying to photograph it through the frame, maybe you can use that additional comment section to include some information on how it's framed, or how it's mounted, or what the display method might be for the work. Works don't necessarily have to be framed. We have unframed works on panel, on canvas, and other works that maybe don't require a frame at all, and can still be successfully hung and displayed. So your 5 image options here, and then we asked for just a little artist bio here at the bottom. And again, this is another section for you to include your voice in the room with that committee. So some artists will use this to share a little bit about your personal life. Could be about your practice, could be highlights of recent accomplishments in lieu of like a CV or a resume. So use this section as you see fit to again bring yourself into the room with those committee members. So contact information. LeAnn and I are here to help answer questions and help you be successful through this application process. We don't have a questions deadline outlined in the timeline, but the
We
sooner
do.
you can get us, we do.
November 1st.
November 1st. Okay. Yeah, so please get us your questions by November 1st. This will allow us to document all the questions we receive and to get any big relevant revelations of answers out to all applicants to help everyone navigate the application process. So please reach out to us. Please work on your application and get it submitted as soon as possible. Oftentimes, if you get your application in before the deadline and we notice issues, we can typically reach out or notify you that there's discrepancies or issues with the application and help to get those clarified before the deadline. But if we notice something after the deadline, we have to accept the application as is, and that could be potentially detrimental to your ability to be considered for the opportunity. The last section here, just we collect a little bit of information about how you heard about the call. As that helps us understand how successful we've been in promoting the opportunity. With that, I'm going to stop sharing. And LeAnn, in that process, was anything that you think didn't cover well enough?
No, I think you got it all.
Right. Any other frequently asked questions that we've encountered so far or in past rounds that you think are important to get out there right now?
One question that has come up is you've kind of gone over it, but I figure we can go over it a little bit more detailed. Does the artwork need to be ready to hang, or does the staff do that when the artist drops off the artwork?
Yeah, good question. So we, as I mentioned, we'll share more information about our expectations for hanging standards, but we typically ask that artworks have at least a wire or D-rings or better. The exhibit space in the Civic Center, we use the Arakawa track hanging system. And so we have ceiling, top of wall ceiling mounted racks with hanging wires and hooks. So that allows for a sort of modular display system. And so especially on smaller works, it really helps to have two D-rings on either side of the frame that you can mount the hooks on either side to help stabilize it. And so we do expect that if you're selected, that your artwork will be dropped off ready to be displayed on that track system on the January 8th drop off. And then essentially that day you will drop off your work and staff will curate the show and hang the works on the wall and prepare it for formal viewing by the committees. And the nice thing, that show will be open to the public. So anyone can view the works. The Civic Center is open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So in addition to having the attention of employees and city leadership who work at the Civic Center, anyone from the public can come and view the exhibit. And works will also be able to be listed for sale. And so we will create wall labels that give you credit, your name, the title of the work, and we can also list works for sale in addition to being considered for the two opportunities.
So you mentioned that the Picture Hillsboro Award is primarily, we're focused on 2D artwork for that. Is that the same for Permanent Collection, or do 3D artists have the opportunity to apply for the Permanent Collection Award?
I think we're definitely open to three-dimensional objects for the Permanent Collection Award, and that's another way of us being able to diversify the collection, the types of artists that we're supporting through these opportunities. So, if you have dimensional wall hung works, that's great. If you have full three-dimensional works, I think we're open to considering that as well. And that will have to be something that we discuss with the committee and allow them to sort of guide us in the direction of how they want to grow the collection. But it wouldn't be unprecedented for us to acquire three-dimensional works, as we do have some that are currently on display right now.
Right. I think those are the only questions that have come up so far, or have been questions in previous years.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to view the session. Hopefully it's been informative and helpful. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll look forward to seeing your applications. Thanks.